Hello, welcome to Boardgame Basecoats, and today we have a playthrough of the TMNT Adventures board game. We are running the first of the tutorial scenarios, Something Stinks. So, most of the scenarios have 2 boards, so it's nice and compact, and we are running with the 4 turtles today. So, out on a night on patrol, the turtles notice something fishy in the subway station. Alopex and the Foot have gathered some of the local thugs. Are they sparring? Break up their little meeting and find out what's going on. Alright, now I did paint these figs and you can check out those videos on my channel. And so, without further ado, let's go ahead and get started. First of all, the heroes will roll their action dice. So in this game you will roll dice, and here 2 yin-yangs which are wild and 1 movement. So when you roll the yin-yangs, you have the chance to gain life, but I'm at full life. You gain focus, which are kind of like magic points, and then you can rearrange the dice however you want. So I chose another movement and a double attack. Now Donatello has a ranged attack, a close attack, and then a combination defense and attack. Alright. Raphael, if you notice, has a whole lot of dice. We'll talk more about that significance later, but he rolls a single ranged attack, a double ranged attack, a close attack, a shield, and 2 yin-yangs. So again, full life right now, full focus. So we're going to go ahead and select 2 movement because he had none. Alright, and that little rearranging there, we'll talk more about that in just a minute here because it is important. Finally, Mikey is going to go ahead and roll his dice. So double defense and a double movement. Alright. Okay, and there we go. So all the turtles have rolled their dice, and now they're going to arrange those action dice. So what will happen is the dice on the edges get shared with the other players. So Donatello's getting a movement from Leo and a movement from Raphael. Now Raphael has a bunch of dice, so he can share with others, but he's very much the loner. He doesn't accept help from anyone, so he'll rearrange his dice there, giving Michelangelo another movement. And, whoa, Mikey has no attack, so hey Leo, rearrange your dice so that he can get some attacks. In fact, he'll get a double attack. So we'll swing back over to Leo. He'll make a little adjustment, and there we go. So this is a great game for this communication between the team. Each player wants a nice loadout, but you definitely have to consider what everyone else has. So this is a nice little step. Alrighty, now if you notice here, I put a sword and a shield because I misplaced my token that combines the 2. So let's go ahead and set those back aside and grab one from Donnie. And there we go. Alright, so combination, close attack, and shield. Great. Now then, let's go ahead and jump right in with the heroes. So first up will be Raphael. Now he spends a movement die to do a movement, which is 3 movement. If you look at that little foot symbol on his character card. So he jumped over the tracks. Now he's going to do a ranged attack against that Thug Gunner. The Thug Gunner is on top of a railway car and technically 2 spaces away. So Raphael got 1 die, one of those black die for the range, and he defaults +2 for any attack. So that's why he rolled 3. Now those are potential hits. Now the Thug Gunner has a defense of 2, so that's why he gets 2 dice. Unfortunately, he did not roll any defense, so he is gone because he only has 1 life. So Raphael still has dice to spend, so he's going to go ahead and spend another movement, which gives him 3 spaces of movement. He'll spend 2 to get on top of the subway car. He does have 1 more movement, and actually he should have taken it. We'll talk about that in a minute. But he's going to go ahead and do a close combat attack. So he spends 1 die. That will give him 1 black die. And again, his default is 2, so he'll get 2 more dice for his attack. So he'll roll all 3, and his potential hits, he has 3 there. Now the Foot has a standard defense of 2, so he'll roll 2 dice. And no defense. So Raph's on a roll, takes out a foot. Now the foot only had 1 HP, or rather 2 HP, but both were taken care of. Now here's where we're going to make the mistake. So Raph is going to do a ranged attack against that gunner that's on the ground. Now actually, technically this is an illegal attack. He'd have to be on the edge of the subway car to make this attack. Okay, so he gets 2 dice because it's a double ninja star. He gets 2 because of his normal attack. So there's all of his potential attacks, so 2. But as I said, this is an illegal attack. Now the gunner gets 2 dice for defense and actually blocks at both, so it doesn't really matter in this case, but definitely have to keep those line of sight rules in mind. Now it's the villain's turn, and we're going to play some cards. So here, watch out. And if you notice, we've got some shields, we got a movement, we got an attack, and then we're going to play something for the foot. Again, a shield, a movement, and an attack. Alright, so this is how the foot get extra dice. Okay, so he has basically a movement, so he gets up to 3 movement. And now he has a sword, which gives him 1 for the attack, and his base attack is 1, so he gets 2 dice. Alright, so he's going after Raph here, and a double potential hit. Now Raph has a base defense of 3, that's that knee pad looking thing, and then he has a shield, so that means he gets to roll 4 dice against the potential double hit. Okay, so here's his 4 dice. Now I should mention here that one of my pet peeves with the game is, so those action dice, so the colored dice, don't match the symbols on the character sheets. So confusion happens, especially if you've never played the game before, or in my case, coming back to it after painting my figs. So let's go ahead and move on anyway. We've got the foot, so this foot's going to move, and has 3 movement for every action die spent, or in this case, action card spent. Alright, now technically you're supposed to resolve them separately as far as if you moved and attacked. Now what I'm doing here is putting down some manhole tokens just to show I've used these characters, just for the sake of you viewers, but it's not necessary at all. Anyway, Mikey's going to do a double move. So he gets a total of 8 move. So he's going to jump across the first track, slide over, jump across the other one. It costs 3 movement to jump. And now he's going to go ahead and do a double attack, so he gets 2 dice. His basic attack is 1, so he gets an additional die. So he'll have 3 dice to attack that Thug Gunner. And there's his potential hits. Great. Alright, so Thug Gunner has basic defense of 2, and unfortunately no cards to help out, so just the basic defense then. And there we go. So rolled 1 block, but takes enough damage to go, so the gunners only have 1 life. There we are. So it's still Mikey's turn. He's got a movement and then a bunch of shields, so we're going to go ahead and move him towards Alopex. Now, for the turtles to win the scenario, they need to KO Alopex. Alright, so for Alopex to win this scenario, she needs to stick around for 5 rounds. So, it is now the villain's turn. So, what happens here is you slide those cards over. If they have shields, they are still active. But otherwise, we play 2 new cards, and these 2 new cards basically represent the attacks that are going to be happening. So we've got a gunner, and we're going to look here, and who will come out? Alopex perhaps? Yeah, no. Let's go ahead and bring out the brawlers. Okay, so there we are. We'll draw up 2 new cards to have our maximum hand size of 5. Now I should notice we are playing the tutorial. Alopex has a certain number of focus in this one. So our gunner here has no movement, but 3 attacks. So 3 attack dice plus its base attack, so 4 attack dice. And going here for Mikey. Alright, so potential hits there, 3 of them. Mikey has a basic defense of 3, and 2 shields. So 5 black dice can be rolled. And there we are. Let's see how Mikey does. And here we go. So only 1 defense, so Mikey will take 2. Alright, now, remember when I mentioned earlier some confusion between the dice and the symbols on the cards? Yeah, we're about to see a major mistake here, and poor Mikey is going to be paying the price. Alright, so first off, we're going to move Thug Brawler here. And as I mentioned before, the card allows for 2, sometimes 3 units to move, so in this case it allowed both of them. Technically, you'd move one and attack with one, but I just went ahead and moved both. In this case, it really is not a big deal. So here's where I make the mistake. So you see I'm rolling 3 dice for the Thug Brawler, but actually it should only be 2. So 1 for base attack and 1 from the card. So this is a major mistake. So you see right there 5 potential hits. So we know that Mikey has 5 for defense, and he will not do very good at all. So he blocked nothing. So he's going to take 5 big points of damage here. All right, so half of that gone, and he still has 1 more thug to deal with. Yeah, you see there the 1 sword. So again, I'm rolling 3 dice. So I don't know, was I looking at the elbow pad? I don't know what was going on. But definitely a big mistake here. So again, looking at 4 damage. Mikey gets 1 defense. So Mikey will take 3 more. And you see, I even calculated wrong. I was just so frustrated. I don't know what's going on there. Anyway, so again, I'm putting these tokens down, but they are just for the benefit of the camera, but they're really not important at all. So Leo's going to get in here. He's going to do as a double movement. So you can see he has 3 movements, so he can move up to 6 spaces. So again, he'll jump across the tracks. He'll jump across again. And now he's next to a foot ninja. All right. He's going to spend this attack right here. And this is kind of a tactical error. So you can split your attacks like this. So he's going to only do 1 attack from this die, 1 for his base to do a 2 die attack there. So he has 2 potential hits. So it may have been better to spend the double, so he'd roll 3 dice, because as you can see here, it does have a shield, or rather a turtle shell, so that means he gets to roll 2 dice, or an extra die there. 3 dice, so 2 for the base and 1 from the card. So he'll end up blocking 1 of them, and because the foot soldiers here, the foot ninjas, have 2 life, it does live. So never leave the enemy behind. So I'm just going to mark it that it has 1 life left, and we're going to go ahead and move on. I have my eye on the prize, so I'm thinking about Alopex here. So we're going to spend 2 movement, which technically would give us 6 spaces of movement, but because we're right next to an enemy, that minuses 1, so 5 spaces. So where are we going to go here? So if we go near other enemies, that'll be a problem too. So 1 space, 2 spaces. So I'm going to spend 3 to jump, okay, right over that bench. So that would have taken away 1, so it worked out. So there we are. And now we're going to go ahead and do the attack with 3 dice here. And unfortunately, only 1 potential hit. Now, Alopex has a defense there of 3 dice. No cards to help out right now. And unfortunately for us right now, Alopex will defend against that point. So Alopex is still untouched. And we'll go ahead and move on to the villain phase. So 2 cards slide right off. We're going to slide those other cards, which have no turtle shells on them, so no bonuses to defense from those. But we'll go ahead and select 2 new cards. So now it's time, perhaps, for Alopex to come out? No. And the reason we don't do this Alopex card right now is because it is a potential healing card, even though it's a lot of great attacks there. So thinking maybe we'll save that and go for some other ones. So what we're doing here is playing a card face down, which is essentially a wild. So 1 attack or 1 move. So we're going to do that for Alopex instead, and then play another card. So and here I make another mistake. For some bizarre reason, I take the shooter card, and it's fine. There we go. But then I turn it face down. We are going to revisit that card, and it'll come back. Oh, we drew a regroup. So that allows us to reshuffle all the cards back into our deck. But let's go ahead and use our wild card here, which basically we're going to use not for a defense, but for an attack. So it gives us one attack with a base attack of 1, so 2 dice, 2 potential hits against Leo. Leo has a defense of 3 and does have this combo attack shield, so that gives him another die for defense, so a total of 4 dice. 4 dice against the potential 2 hits. So Leo goes ahead and defends against those. Alright, so he's all set. And Alopex is done. Alright, so again, I'm putting these tokens, so those will all go away in just a few minutes. So we go back to our heroes, and now it's Donnie's turn. He's going to spend both of his movement here to go ahead and get 6 spaces, and he's going to follow in Leo's footsteps here, basically, and jump those tracks. So he's going to mimic Leo here and do 1 attack, and he gets a base attack of 1, but unfortunately he gets 1 potential hit, and this foot has a base attack, or I'm sorry, a base defense of 2, but no cards to help out. So we're gonna go ahead and roll 2 dice here, and 1 defense, and there it is. So that foot, that wily foot, sticks around. So Donnie though is not gonna leave it behind. He's gonna go for it again. So 1 close combat attack and 1 default. So there it is, 1 hit again. And our foot's going to roll 2 dice again. And this time, no defense. Alright. And if you recall, I had a die there indicating that it only had 1 hit point. I don't know what happened to it, but we'll go ahead and put it there. Nah, we'll just get rid of the foot. Alright, so that foot taken care of. And it's at this point where I decide, you know what, that token... maybe the rest of these tokens can go away? Yeah. No. Let's go ahead and finish out Donnie's turn. So he does have a ranged attack. Now, ranged attacks are a little different. So basically, you can attack someone 2 spaces away. But if they're beyond 2 spaces, then you subtract 1 success for every space beyond the second space. Okay, so right now calculating who is close enough, and the best one would be the Foot Ninja. Alright, so it is 3 spaces away, so I do lose 1 attack there. 1 success, rather. But the Foot does not defend. Alright, so he's down to 1 life. Alright, so the villain's turn. And this is where I'm like, what was I thinking? I don't know. Let's go ahead and resolve the shooter. Technically I should have done it before, but we'll do it now. Just to get it done. And here's where I decide these tokens are gone. Alright, so I think the game is pretty clear. It plays pretty clean. So, and as you can see here, we're a couple minutes in, and it moves very quickly from villain to the good guys and right back again. So let's go ahead and do the Thug Gunner here. So Thug Gunner has a movement as well as a double ranged attack. So could move up to 3 spaces if he wanted to, but we're thinking about going after Leo here, so no real need to move. So Thug Gunner gets 2 die from the card, gets 1 die for the base attack, and so we're going to roll both of these, and only 1 potential hit against Leo. Alright, so Leo has 3 die for base defense, and still has that combination attack defense, so 4 dice for Leo here against that 1 potential hit, and he blocks it, so Leo still just fine. So we're back to our villains. We're going to slide the cards over. Alright, and then play 2 new cards. Alrighty. So this is really a good game if you happen to be the type of player that's often hosting games, because it really is kind of like a role-playing game. So you play the villain, and then everyone has the fun of playing the characters, and if you have all the sets, wow, there's so many characters to play with. So I've had a great time with this game every time I've played it. So, and I've been the villain every time. So here we're playing the competitive mode. Now there is a cooperative mode where there's some programmed responses, but I've never actually played that one. Anyway, let's go ahead and jump back in. Our Thug Brawlers going after Mikey here, who is on the rocks because of my terrible math and misunderstandings. So he should not be in these dire straits, but anyway, it's a good chance to check out what happens when the heroes are KO'd. So he does have a double defense there to boost his defense, so five dice for Mikey, and let's see how he does against those potential hits. 2 potential hits there. So he blocks it all. Fantastic, looking good. But we've got one more brawler to deal with. So now if you notice, this time I'm rolling the correct number of dice. Okay, so 1 from the card, 1 for the base, 1 potential hit. Alright, so Mikey still gets the same number of defense dice. And unfortunately, this time rolls none. No defense. Alright. So let's see what happens when a character gets knocked out. Alright, so down he goes. And there is no 0 mark, which I find kind of annoying, to be honest. But yeah, we'll just flip the token over. We can just flip the counter over, which I normally do. And you can just see the character down there for the count. So let's go ahead and move on to our foot. And again, each card allows multiple foot to move. So at this point is where I start making some tactical errors for the foot, for the villain side. So what I should be doing is what this first foot is doing, and going after Raph. All right. So it's got 1 base attack, 1 from the card, so 2 dice attacking Raph. So two potential hits against Raph. Raph has a base defense of 3, and let's see if we pull it there. Yep, he does have that shield right there. So he'll roll 4 dice for defense against the 2 potential hits, and 1 blocked. Okay, so Raph will take a point. All right. So just like the heroes, the villains really should capitalize on focusing on one character at a time. So this foot goes after Donnie. So with 1 base attack from the card and 1 from its character card, 2 dice to go after Donnie. Now this is really a huge tactical error because Donnie is a defensive monster. So 1 potential hit against Donnie here. So Donnie has a base defense of 4, and he has that shield, that combination shield, so he'll roll 5 dice. Alright, so, and yeah, he is untouched. Alright, now you'll see as I go through the game, those benches keep just getting knocked around. So, in general though, the boards are pretty uncluttered, so it's rather nice. So we've finished round 1. We're moving on to round 2. Now, if you notice, I have 5 counters there because I've actually chosen to make the scenario a bit more difficult. There are options for making the scenario more difficult. That's actually a foot ninja, not a brawler. So no brawlers were harmed thus far. And Alopex is still at 9 life. All right. So we're moving on to round 2, heroes. Now, what I'm doing here is drawing the cards. And because it's the tutorial scenario, you get to draw one less card. Now, technically, I could have started with the cards from the first round, but I'm playing this game right now kind of as I would if I had some new players playing the game with me. Usually I have the cards right now because we've solidified the basic dice rolling and the moving and the line of sight and all that stuff. So now I tell them, hey, time to draw those cards, let's check them out. So we're going to go ahead and play with the cards for the rest of the game. And these cards add that extra flavor to those characters. So if you see here, I rolled a yin yang. So I'm going to go ahead and select that double attack. I was already at maximum focus, so no big deal there. Just thinking here about that. And then I was at maximum life, so didn't really get any extra benefit from that yin yang. So moving on to Donnie, he gets 3 cards normally, but he'll be -1 because this is the tutorial scenario. So he'll pull those cards. So really, The dice for all the characters are different. The character sheets are different for all the characters. Each character has a special ability that's different. And then you add these card decks, and really, every player plays so differently. So it's kind of nice. You can really mix and match and get some really cool dynamics going. So Donnie's here has rolled a melee attack, a ranged attack, and a movement. And now Raph. All right. Now, if you know Raph, it's kind of odd to think that he's got double ranged attacks. So he's a ranged attack monster. But if you look at his cards, he really can get in there and mix it up. So you really have to play with the whole thing to really get the flavor of the fig. So he gets the benefit of the yin-yangs. Now, he doesn't just gain life. What you do is you roll these dice, and if you get any attacks, which I got none, you would gain life. So 1 life or 2 life. So anyway, he's at max focus 2, so no bonus there, but he's going to go ahead and select the double ranged attack. So he's going after Alopex. All right, with some of that. Okay, so a little rearranging there, and we can still revisit that because it's not technically the part of the round where we have to lock in the dice that we're going to do. All right, but in general, it is a good idea to have some movement, and if other players have none, you wanna help them out. All right, so let's move on. And here we're gonna deal with Mikey, who is KO'd. Now you get 2 dice to attempt to heal for every turtle shell you have, but you're minus a die for every enemy. In this case, 2, so those 2 are gone, and so. You'll roll a number of dice equal to your defense. All right, so we're going to check that value out here, that knee pad. So he'll have 3 dice, and let's see how much he heals. Decent roll, so he'll heal 5 life there. So 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. All right, so if you look under here, though, it's not enough to beat this threshold, so technically he's still knocked out. Now here's a weird thing, and I didn't find any clarification. So technically the villains go take a turn after the heroes do, but he's KO'd, so would the villain go again? In this case, I don't do that, and in this case I roll the dice. I don't know if I can technically leave the dice, so this is kind of a little gray area for me. I'm sure there are more knowledgeable people out there, but I do roll them here, and now I have less shields, or rather less turtle shells, so yeah, it's kind of weird. So anyway, I do roll it up. Can't technically share dice because he is knocked out, so having a character knocked out is definitely a bad thing, because it limits options for the other players, because they don't get dice shared. So Leo here is going to share with Donnie. So he gets an attack from Donnie, and Donnie gets a movement from Leo, as well as a movement from Raph. All right, and this time we're going to go with Leo instead of Raph. So every round you can decide the order just based on how everything's going. So that's kind of a nice bit of flexibility. So Leo gets 3 attacks from his die and the token. His base attack as well, so he gets 2 potential hits against Alopex. All right, Alopex has a base defense of 3. All right, and no cards. So let's go ahead and roll this up against the 2 potential hits and 1 block. All right, so Alopex does take 1 point of damage, and down to 8. Great. Okay, we still have Leo's turn here. We're going to play this card, so zeroed out. So by spending 2 focus, you'll see the cost in the top left corner. He gets to use a die that he has previously used this turn. So he's going to use that double attack once again. All right, so the double melee attack, which will give him 2 dice, and his base attack of 1, so now I have 3 dice. All right, and big potential here. So 5 potential hits. Really happy about that roll. Alopex still with 3 defense dice, and Boom. No defense. So he'll take, or I'm rather she'll take 5 more points of damage, which will bring her down to 3. Oh yes. Oh yes. So very close. All right. So good turn there for Leo. He's still got a movement though. So he's going to move back. Now for the 1 movement die, he can move up to 3 spaces, -1 because he's next to an enemy. And he's going to do a ranged attack right into Alopex's face there. So 1 die for the ranged and 1 die for the base. So 2 dice for the ranged attack here. And 3 potential hits. Nice. All right. Alopex still with 3 dice for defense against the 3 potential hits. And this time rolls some defense. All right. So Alopex does manage to block 2 of that. And just takes 1 point of damage, bringing Alopex down to 2. All right, so you can see the game is pretty brutal. All right, so that takes care of Leo. Let's go ahead and move on to the villain's turn. Those 2 cards at the end get discarded. The 2 slide over. No defense on those cards, unfortunately. All right, so this card we've been saving because it will allow Alopex to potentially heal as well as attack and move. And then we'll get our brawlers back in there. All right, so we'll go ahead and draw 2 cards. Okay, and what are you fools waiting for? I love how the quotes, and there's 2 of them. All right, I love how the quotes mimic some from the comics, some from the cartoons, and all that good stuff. So nice touches, nice touches. So Alopex here is going to roll to see if she gains life. She does not. All right. Anyway, it's worth a shot. So she can move. And she can attack. All right, once she attacks, she'll have 4 dice. 4 dice from that card. So where will Alopex go? So considering how far she can move and who is available, Donnie would be the worst possible choice. So of course she goes for Donnie. Now if you notice, she went right over Mikey. So KO'd figures do not block movement at all. And by the way, no figures will block line of sight unless they're huge figures. So we'll deal with that in a different scenario, I'm sure. So anyway, Alopex does get all those dice to attack. And unfortunately, 2 potential hits did not go well. All right, so Donnie there has a base defense of 4, just a monster. No extra die though, but does manage to block 3. So Donnie, untouched. Always love Donnie. All right, so let's go ahead and move on to our thug brawlers, and we're gonna go ahead and move here next to Donnie. Again, just a bad choice. Donnie is just a defensive machine. So the brawler gets 1 attack from the card, 1 for the base, and rolls 1 potential hit. But Donnie gets 4 dice, man. That's just huge. And Donnie blocks it, no problem at all. All right, so let's see what the other thug will do. So again, has 2 movement points there to spend, so could technically move up to 6 spaces, but goes after Donnie. All right, and Donnie blocks. All right, now you see Donnie is surrounded there, so that definitely affects Donnie's movement. So what he's going to do here is use this card, and it costs nothing. Basically extends his close range. All right, so he's going to move, and he has to spend a lot of movement to move, because he not only subtracts 1 for every enemy next to him, he's crossing a yellow line, which will cost an extra point as well. So he's spending all of his movement. He's getting 9 movement to move away. He's going to do a close combat attack plus his base, but because of that card, the 10-foot pole plus 1, he actually gets that extra distance. So 1 potential hit there against Alopex, of course. Alopex has no defense, so Alopex will use her base of 3 dice against the 1 potential. Alopex blocks it handily, but Donnie still has a ranged attack, and he's going to go ahead and let her rip. So 1 from the die and 1 for the base, and 1 potential hit again. All right, so Alopex once again will roll her 3 dice from her character card and blocks it again. Donnie denied. All right, So we are back to the villains. Slide over our cards. Okay, we're going to slide over those cards. And again, if they had had turtle shells, then they'd have the defense would still be active. So I'm going to play our 2 new cards. And here we are, the regroup. Alright, so essentially, when you play the regroup, you will throw it into the discard pile, you'll shuffle your discard pile into your deck, and then you play another card. Alright, so I'm checking it here. Wait, do I draw a card? Oh yeah, there we go. Alright, so all's well. Yes, alright, so now if you notice, the cards all have colors. There are red cards, there are blue cards, there are green cards, so each scenario basically tells you which colors for which characters you'll throw into this deck. So that definitely changes the dynamic of the games. Alright, so in this particular game, Alopex only has the red cards, for example. So it's definitely something to consider as the good guys and as the villains, because if certain characters are whittled away, definitely causes some problems. Alright, so Thug Brawlers are up. They've been causing all kinds of problems, so they're going to go ahead and go here again. This time, though, we're using the smarter guy, and he's going after Raph. Alright, so the Thug Brawler here is going to go ahead and roll. Let's see, yep, okay, making sure, just checking my math. Yeah. Alright, yep. Alright, so 3 dice here, 4 potential hits. Alright, and Raph has a shield, so that's 1 black die. Has a base defense of 3, so 4 black die against the 4 potential hits. And Raph, big rolls. Alright, great. So blocks 3 of it, just takes 1. Alright. There we are. So Raph down to 9. Okay, so let's go ahead and move on to the foot. Alright, so movement and a double attack. Alright, so that foot's going to shift slightly. Thinking here just to block movement in case Raph tries to get away. So 2 attacks from the card, 1 for the base, and 3 dice going after Raph. So 2 potential hits. Raph still has that defense die. Has 3 base defense, so it's going to roll 4 dice again against the 2 potential hits. Once again, let's make sure those benches are back where they need to be. Raph blocks both, so Raph untouched that time. Alright, so back to the heroes. It is Raph. He's going to go ahead and try to unleash something here. And he's going to use all his movement to break away from these people. Now, here is where I'm thinking, okay, so at -2 from there, he moves down, that'll cost 2 more movement. If I go down into the yellow, that'll cost a movement. And actually, this is kind of a mistake, because you really want to get closer. Even though it's a ranged attack, you do not want to be more than 4 spaces away. So let's see here, let's count up his dice. So he's got 6 attack dice there. He's got 2 from his character sheet, so he's going to be rolling 8 dice. Okay, so 8 dice here. All right, massive. But again, you're subtracting 1 potential hit for every space beyond 2. All right, so he is down to 2 life though. So let's go ahead and roll up all these dice. Let's see, so 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, and 7. So, I'm sorry, 6 spaces away. So we're subtracting 4 from this. So if I roll a bunch of doubles, it's over. All right, so let's see how we do. And sadly, no. All right. So still fair. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. Unfortunately, because of the distance, we subtract 4 of those. All right, so 2 potential hits from all that dice. So no defense, though. No defensive bonus from the card. So Alopex just uses her basic defense of 3 against the 2 potential hits. Let's clean up there. And blocks them both. So Raph shut down there. All right, so we're to the villain's turn. Slide those cards away. Slide those cards over. There are no shells on them. And let's see what we got. Oh, we drew the regroup again. All right, well, let's see if we can't do some attacks here. Foot or gunner, down to one gunner. So definitely a strategy here is because the cards allow for the movement of multiple characters for the villains. As heroes, you definitely want to break up those groups. So even though cards might say, well, you're going to move 3 characters or whatever, if they only have one, they're only moving one. All right, so villain draws up, and now we resolve. So the foot here can move or attack. So the foot that is on the subway car is going to go ahead and move closer. And here we're thinking, should it be Raph? Should it be Donnie? And once again, making the mistake, going for Donnie. Now the foot that's already there is going to go ahead and attack Donnie. All right, so 1 potential hit. And Donnie, our defensive monster, 4 dice, just from the base, his base stats. All right, so 4 dice against the 1 potential hit. He blocks them both, or he blocks with 2. Now then the shooter can move and shoot. All right, so need to get closer to the action here. Even though, so I said for the ranged attack that Raph had, every space beyond the second would be minus. Now the shooters, every space beyond the 4th, so they have extra range for sure. All right, so our gunner here, gonna roll 3 dice, 2 potential hits, and once getting smarter here, going for Leo instead. So Leo has 3 defensive dice, and Leo does not block any of that. So 2 hits to Leo, and finally damaged. All right, so Leo down to 10. All right, so that ends round 2. So clean up. So we are then checking our figs here. Now, because it's the tutorial scenario, there's no respawning. So it's at this point we might have some respawning in other scenarios, but not this time. So we're back to our heroes. They will draw new cards, and they will roll their dice. All right, so let's see how Leo does. He is down to 1 focus. Maybe we can get some yin-yangs this time. And he does. All right, great. So yin-yang. So he gains a focus back. And he is now not full life, so let's see if he can gain some of that back. So we take the die, and we haven't gained life from anybody. Hey, it finally happened. So 1 point of life gained, and there we are. Okay, and then it is wild, so we're going to set it to where we want it, and of course we're going to go double. Now we got a problem. Leo cannot move. All right, so movement or attack. Yeah, let's just go for the attack. All right, so he's got 2 shields, 2 turtle shells and an attack. Donnie draws the guard. All right, costs 2 attack to do that guard. Fair enough. Go ahead and roll his dice. And a regular melee, and then 2 combination melee and defense. As I say, Donnie, defensive monster. All right. Now this card was useless, so it didn't really do him much good. So it's just gonna chuck it. Draw another card. So Sucker Punch. That's a little more useful. Great. There we go. And we'll go ahead and roll Raph's dice. And plenty of range once again. Got a defense. Good. And some melee attacks. All right. So if you notice, again, no movement. Okay, we've noticed a theme in this round for the turtles. All right, so definitely going to be a problem here, and you're going to see that as this turn evolves. All right, so we're doing a little shifting right here, even though it's not quite that part of the round. All right, so there is 1 character next to Mikey, so he's -1 to his rolls, uses his base, and there, so -1, +1, so that cancels out. So we'll just go ahead and use his base defense, which will be 3 dice. A little jump skip there. All right, so 3 dice to see if Mikey can gain some life and get back up if he passes that threshold. And he gains 3 life. And he is up to 9, which is enough. All right, so Mikey stands up. Alrighty. I never should have been down in the first place. But it's good to have him back. All right, so let's go ahead and draw up his cards. See what he has. Okay, so Mikey's got some tricky little cards. He's definitely one to zip around and do some weird stuff on the board. All right, and there we go. Great. Okay, so Mikey all sets. He's got all the movement, which is great. Unfortunately, Raph does not benefit from that at all, so he's going to go ahead and flip it. So the double movement will go to Leo. So Leo definitely needs some movement. So poor Raph. Gotta share, bud. Gotta share. All right. So Raph's going to go ahead and give an attack to Mikey. That's definitely a problem that Mikey has, is pulling attacks. So he's all about moving. All right. So Leo here gets the double movement from Mikey. Gets the melee and defense from Donnie, and now all of a sudden he's well-rounded. Okay, so you really do get the feel that teamwork is so important in this game. So Donnie, of course, has no movement, plenty of attacks, so huge amount of attacks. All right, and he's got all of his focus. So Mikey gets one attack from Raph and another defense there. So Raph's going to go ahead and go for Alopex again. All right, so 1, 2, 3, 4. Ranged attack, gets 2 for his base. So 6 dice this time, not as many. No movement, unfortunately. So see how he does. And 1. Okay, get rid of those defense. So again, subtracting 4 though, because he's the same distance away. 7, 2, 3. Uh-oh. Did not take away enough. Not that it matters, because Alopex will defend against this one. Excuse me. There we go. There we go. Oops, there. Down to 1. Yeah, it won't make a... Yeah, they did another miscalculation there, but that's okay, because the next... Yeah, the rest of that's going to be wasted, but... when the next turtle attacks, that's going to end this one. But let's go ahead and go to the villain's turn. We slide over. Got some foots. And our brawler. Alright. With some much needed defense. Okay. Let's go ahead and drop Alopex's other card. And there we go. Oh, the Alopex cards together. Alright. Too little, too late. Alright. That's okay. So, let's go ahead and move the foots. We've got a move and attack. And going for Donnie? Or are we getting wise? Are we getting wise? No, we're going to go for Donnie. Alright, so pull attacks from our cards. Die for the base scores. And no hits. Alright, so the other foot will attack and gets 2 potential hits. Alright, so 2 potential hits to Donnie. Donnie with his base attack plus his dice, and I don't even use the dice. Okay, so again, miscalculation here. I'm feeling the end. So technically he should not have taken this point because I did not roll the 2 extra die from his combination melee and shells. Okay, so but I'm feeling the end. All right, so brawler time. All right, so brawlers here. Are they gonna stay here with Donnie, or have they wised up and realized he is not? It's just not happening with him. Yeah, they've decided. Yep, they're gonna go for Mikey. All right, so Mikey, we've got 1 attack from the card. We've got 1 attack on the base, so 2 attacks. All right, did my math right this time? And miss. The whiff. All right, hero's turn. Donnie, what can you do? So Donnie is surrounded by figures all over the place, so let's see if he can't clean up a little bit here. So 3 attack dice, 1 from the base, so 4 potential hits. That's massive. Going against the foot. It has no shields, technically. Don't even need to... we'll go ahead and roll it here. Alright, yeah. There was technically no way that it could have survived anyway, but we'll go for the rolls. Alright, so Donnie still has 3 attacks, okay? So he's going to go for the other foot. Alright. So 3 dice from his attack dice, +1 for his base. Alright, so that gives him 4 dice. Alrighty. And 3 potential hits. Okay, the foot again has no shields, has 2 dice for defense, blocks 2, still takes 1, and that was the one that was damaged. Okay, so that's gone. So big turn there for Donnie, cleaning up. Alright, so we're back to the villains. Those cards slide over. Note that the brawler still has defense. Alright, so finally some imported defense for the brawlers. And we'll go ahead and get Alopex. Yes, Alopex movement. Alright, so some defense, bunch of movement. Oops, a lot of movement. It's gone. It's back. Alright, and one attack there. Alright, and then our gunner again. Alright, drop our new cards. More for the brawler. More foot. And let's see how this resolves here. So Alopex is going to go ahead and move. Got plenty of movement here. Alopex can move up to 5 spaces for every movement die. Alright, so even with running next to these turtles, even running over the bench there, Alopex isn't going all that far. Now she's going to go after Mikey here. Alright, there we go. Blocking line of sight from Wrath because of the railroad cars there, the subway cars there. Alright, so 3 potential hits from Alopex, heading into Mike. Now Mike has his basic attack or defense of 3 and had a shield from Leo, so blocks 2. There we go. So Mikey just takes 1 that time. Alright. And let's go ahead and move on to the shooter. Alright, so shooter can move and get a double attack against somebody. So he is right there adjacent to Mikey, so technically cannot attack Mikey. So he's going to go ahead and step away. And then he's going to blast him in the face. Alright, so he gets 2 dice from the 2 ninja stars. He gets 1 from the base. And I neglected to get the correct number of dice. Should have had 1 more, but I guess it evens out. Poor Mikey got beat up by too many dice earlier. So he does block 2 of those right there. So he'll take 1. Alrighty. So down to 7. And that's that. So we're on round 3. Leo, let's see if he can finish this off. So probing attack. Alright, costs nothing here. Alright, so this hopefully will clinch it. He's got plenty of attack. He's got plenty of movement. He's got focus if he needs it. He really doesn't. So let's get in there, Leo. Let's end this. Alright, so in he comes. Swinging right wide of Mikey there. And Alopex, of course, is the target. Alright, so Leo is going to do a melee attack. 1, 2, 3 attack dice. Base attack of 1, so 4 attack dice. Let's see how we go. Alright. Leo for the win. Let's see. And Leo rolls. A nice roll. 5 potential hits. Alright. Now, Alopex does have 2 turtle shells there, so gets 2 dice for that. Has a base defense of 3, so 5 dice for Alopex. Big round of defense. Alopex blocks 2. Alright, and takes 3. And unfortunately, had only 1 life, so Alopex is down. Alopex is down. And with that, the heroes win. Alright guys, so I hope you enjoyed this playthrough. I do plan to go through the other scenarios, at least through the tutorial scenarios, because I've painted up all these figures. And let's see here. Yeah, there we go. So there's the final lay of the board. Alright, so with the turtles victorious, and a bunch of Foot Ninja down, bunch of Gunners down, and none of the Brawlers. None of the Brawlers taken down. So let's go ahead and read our little bit of fluff. The turtles interrupt Alopex's training session, but she manages to break away with a handful of recruits, escaping the subway. And that will wrap us up with this one. So thank you guys for joining me. I hope you'll join me for the next one. Thank you. Bye-bye.